Monday, September 28th, coming to you live from our studio in Seoul. I'm Kim Mo-kyun. Before we get started, these are the stories we're following at the top of the hour. As part of efforts to prevent another wave hitting during the Chuseok holiday period, the government announced stricter quarantine measures during the so-called Chuseok special virus prevention period, which begins today. Some 9 months since the World Health Organization officially reported on the COVID-19 outbreak in Wuhan, the global death toll from the virus surpassed the 1 million mark. And South Korea calls for a joint probe with North Korea into a fatal shooting of a South Korean government official and requests the reopening of the military communication line for consultation on the matter. Now we start with the COVID-19 situation here in South Korea, where the country is seeing a downtrend in new daily cases ahead of the Chuseok holidays. South Korea reported 50 new cases on Monday, seeing the number of daily infections stay below 100 for the third day in a row. Of the new cases, 40 were locally transmitted and 10 were from overseas, bringing the total number of cases to over 23,600. 5 more people have died of the virus, bringing the death toll to 406. South Korean health authorities are on alert as the Chuseok holiday period is just around the corner. In order to prevent the virus from spreading further, the government has announced more detailed and stricter social distancing level 2 measures. Our Kim Bo-kyung has the story.
As small-sized cluster infections continue to pop up in South Korea, local health authorities remain alert. To prevent another wave hitting during the Chuseok holiday period, the government's Chuseok special virus prevention period has started.
Starting Monday, we will apply more detailed and stricter preventive COVID-19 measures for 2 weeks.
In accordance with the special virus prevention period, new regulations will be added to social distancing level 2. Gatherings of more than 50 people indoors and more than 100 people outdoors will remain prohibited. That means local festivals and traditional games will have to be held with a limited number of spectators. Professional sports, including soccer, baseball, and the popular traditional Korean wrestling, sirim, will be played without any spectators. In the capital area, stricter measures are imposed on multi-use facilities. Restaurants, coffee shops, and bakeries with 20 or more seats will have to keep customers at least a meter apart. If impossible to do so, customers will need to sit 1 seat or even a table apart or have barriers between the tables. Customers at movie theaters, PC rooms, and concert halls in Seoul and its surrounding area also have to sit a seat apart, wear face masks, and sign an entry log. Amusement parks and water parks need to limit the number of visitors to half their capacity and only take people who have made reservations. In addition to that, 11 high-risk facilities in the capital region, such as nightclubs, hostess bars, and singing rooms, will be closed for 2 weeks. National and public facilities, such as museums and libraries that are considered relatively safer, will reopen, but they will be required to limit their number of visitors to half the usual amount. Kim Bo-kyung, Arirang News.
The South Korean government's latest distribution of emergency COVID-19 relief funds begins on Monday. So from today, families will begin receiving a special allowance of some $170 per child under the age of 13. The beneficiaries are families of some 5.3 million children. Support of $130 per middle school student will be distributed to eligible families after the Chuseok holidays. Now, it's been nearly 9 months since the World Health Organization officially reported on the COVID-19 outbreak in Wuhan. And since then, the world has seen the number of virus-related deaths surpass 1 million. However, the WHO warns without a vaccine, the world could eventually see 2 million deaths. Our Lee Seung-jae reports.
According to Worldometer on Sunday, the worldwide death toll from COVID-19 has surpassed the 1 million mark. The world saw the biggest spike in single-day deaths on April 17, when 8,513 deaths were reported. Since then, the global COVID-19 death tally has been constantly in the 5,000 to 6,000 range. Among the worst-hit countries, the United States remains at the top with nearly 210,000 deaths. Despite India surpassing Brazil in total infections, the South American nation is a close second with over 140,000 deaths, with India third with over 95,000. However, the WHO on Friday warned that the global death toll could double to 2 million before a successful vaccine is widely used and could be even higher without joint actions to curb the pandemic. The head of the UN agency's emergency program, Mike Ryan, noted that it's not just young people who should be blamed for the recent increase in infections, but rather indoor gatherings of people of all ages. While it took nearly 9 months for the world to reach a grim milestone of 1 million deaths, health experts feared the second million could come much faster. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
South Korea's presidential office is calling on North Korea for a joint investigation into a recent killing of a South Korean government worker and to reopen their military communication line for consultations on the matter. This comes after President Moon Jae-in held an emergency meeting on the incident with security-related ministers. Our Blue House correspondent Kim Min-ji reports.
South Korea has requested a joint probe with North Korea into the fatal shooting of the South Korean government official. This comes after an emergency security meeting on Sunday that was chaired by President Moon Jae-in. Following the 90-minute session, Seoul's Deputy Director of National Security said they decided to call for a joint investigation, given the discrepancy in the two sides' accounts of what happened.
We hope to find the truth with an open attitude without being restricted to the respective probe results of the South and North. We also request the reopening of the military communication line for consultations and the exchange of information.
The Blue House added that the top priority will be to find the man's body to reveal the full truth and a humanitarian consideration of the deceased's family. South Korea will also request cooperation from Chinese authorities on fishing vessels operating near the border. Earlier Sunday, Pyongyang warned Seoul not to violate the Western Sea border in the search for the body, stressing that it plans to carry out its own search. South Korea has been sending boats near the border to look for the body and the official's belongings. The 47-year-old went missing last Monday from a patrol boat while on duty near Yeonpyeong-do Island off the country's west coast. Seoul's military announced that North Korean troops shot and burned the man's body in the North's waters. Pyongyang claims its troops set fire to a floating object the man was using, not his body. Another question is whether or not the man intended to defect to North Korea. On Friday, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un extended a rare apology, while the regime vowed to take measures to prevent such incidents happening again.
The top office says it positively evaluates the North's swift apology and measures to prevent a recurrence, adding it hopes the two sides can reveal the truth based on a fresh joint probe. However, it remains to be seen whether Pyongyang will agree to one. Kim Min-ji, Arirang News.
South Korea's top nuclear envoy Lee Do-hun says the U.S. and South Korea will discuss how they could work together on North Korea's recent killing of a South Korean official. He made the remarks upon his arrival in Washington on Sunday ahead of his talks with U.S. Deputy Secretary of State Stephen Biegun. When asked whether he will discuss President Moon's end-of-war declaration, he said the subject will be one of many issues they'll cover. Regarding an October surprise ahead of the U.S. presidential election as it relates to North Korea, he said he won't make any hasty predictions. The U.S. Commerce Department has imposed export controls on China's top maker of microchips as the so-called chip war heats up between the world's two superpowers. Our Kim Hyo-sun has the details.
The Trump administration is tightening trade restrictions on China's largest chip maker, Semiconductor Manufacturing International Corporation, or SMIC. With the move, American computer chip companies will be prohibited from importing SMIC's technology without a prior export license. This is similar to the restrictions imposed on Huawei. The U.S. Commerce Department expressed concerns over an, quote, unacceptable risk that equipment SMIC has imported could be used for military purposes. In response, SMIC told Reuters that the company provides services solely for commercial end users and end uses, stressing it has no relationship with the Chinese military. The move will hit Beijing's aggressive plan to develop its semiconductor sector. Pundits also say it could benefit South Korean chip manufacturers like Samsung Electronics and SK Hynix, especially with Samsung being able to mass-produce memory chips using the 7-nanometer process, which SMIC aimed to achieve by late 2021. In a separate move, American lawmakers are mulling subsidies of about $25 billion to boost U.S. chip production capacity. While it's uncommon for Washington to pour such large subsidies to any sector, Japanese media reports that the move comes as the Trump administration wants to protect its own industries over fears that excessive outsourcing to China could be a national security risk. Kim Yo-san, Arirang News.
Major hamburger franchises are on alert as they're experiencing delays in the supply of tomatoes. Fast food companies such as Lotteria, McDonald's, and Burger King have announced that their hamburgers may not include tomatoes as a string of typhoons that hit South Korea this summer hampered supply. Due to this, some companies will sell hamburgers at a lower price, and some others will replace tomatoes with other vegetables or hand out drink coupons instead. Industry experts expect tomato supplies to become stable by late October. Face masks have now become a key to limiting the spread of COVID-19, but many have been experiencing discomfort when breathing. South Korean company LG Electronics has developed an air purifying mask that makes breathing easier. Our Park Se-young has the story.
This face mask is battery-powered and provides fresh air. It comes with 2 air filters and a case that charges the battery and disinfects the mask with ultraviolet rays. It was developed by LG Electronics to reduce breathing complications. At a time when face masks are a necessity, manufacturers have switched their focus to making masks more comfortable without compromising safety. Meanwhile, environmentalists have raised concerns about the disposal of single-use face masks and other medical waste, of which about 75% will end up in landfills or in the sea. According to LG, all components of the newly developed mask are replaceable and recyclable.
Disposable face masks can cause serious environmental pollution. Their function is doubtful as they don't perfectly fit on our faces, and breathing is the biggest concern.
LG's new face mask is designed based on extensive facial shape analysis to minimize air leakage around the nose and chin. It also comes with patented respiratory sensors that detect the wearer's breath and adjust fan speed to make breathing effortless. LG is set to launch the device in the 4th quarter in select markets. Park Se-young, Arirang News.
Good morning. We've had a breezy morning to start today, and even Daegu had a low just slightly above 10 degrees Celsius this morning, and a lot colder in Daegu-Gyeong in Gangwon-do province. But highs will jump into the 20s, leading to wide temperature gaps of 10 to 17 degrees Celsius. So readings will rise quickly to reach to the mid-20s by the afternoon, and Seoul will get up to 26 degrees, Jeju topping out at 23 degrees this afternoon. And there will be bright skies with good air quality nationwide. The Chuseok holidays start this Wednesday, but there's rain in the forecast during the holiday across the country. Well, on Wednesday afternoon, central regions and Jeollabuk-do province will see rain, while the east of Gangwon-do could see rain on Chuseok morning on Thursday. Well, luckily, we should have no problem seeing the full moon on the night of Chuseok. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the weather conditions around the world.
That's a wrap for us at the hour on Arirang News. We'll be back with more of the day's headlines at noon Korea time, so stay tuned. Thank you for watching and goodbye.
Small business owners have been hit hard by the resurgence of COVID-19. According to a survey by the Korea Federation of Micro Enterprise, 96.4% of the respondents said the resurgence of COVID-19 had a negative impact on their small businesses. Amid these difficulties, people are reaching out with helping hands for the small business owners.